Hello and welcome as it is the completion of the 13th day of July 2019. My name is Derek and welcome to the Money Charts channel where all bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. And this is going to look at LITECOIN and against the US dollar. Market was bullish from the May lows as it rallied from about $66 up to over 140. With a few nice higher lows. We had this on breakout level from here, higher low here, one correctionary move too, and then lifting off from here to the highs. It at first supported the level of resistance, but then that all changed on June the 27th. And stage number one is band flattening out for reversal of trend, which occurred just after the start of the summer. It came back to the band and spent an exhausting amount of time there, thus breaking down below established support convincingly and has us going sideways. This market's bearish now. The daily chart is in that of a bear market. Declining 18 average, it's below it, and well, it obviously hit all four stages. So while this market is bearish on the 3-day term time frame, it is working on stage number two to revert this trend, as it was been completely up. In this case, from 26, it's a different time frame, and many levels. It's successfully supported the 18, but as we can see here, momentum has been lost, and breaking through is that of stage number two, establishing a level of support. Is this deep enough? I'd have to say barely. I'm going to count it. I mean, I normally would expect somewhere around 87 just on this, but as it goes, stage number two coming back to the bend and all that type of stuff. On the weekly term time frame, price action is in a bull market still, and it's in its correctionary phase after its second one. Its first one came as it had its three candle drop, going from close to 100 to about 67. And now, of course, within its second one, this is the first test of this bull market, and its 18 average of lows. If it spends some time within it, 2 3 months, weeks rather, just stays within this range, the band will flatten out. That will lose its momentum. On the monthly chart, it's just deciding what to do. After all, I only got much data, but with what I got, we can see that this was a nice bull run, which then had band flattening out, stage number two, support established, stage three, come back to the band. So it still has to go down there for stage four because it could be a pierce above. But if we're looking for signs of reversal, a resumption of trend, it is holding, staying above it. It's above the 18 highs, 18 lows, starting to rally. So I need to see the 18 highs go up. I need to see it have a convincing break above this to say that it's a failed breakout at this time. But you get a lot of mixed signals, and whenever I get mixed signals, when there's a convincing pattern before with this up move, I generally give the bias of the doubt to the buyers, especially in a case where the market goes up like this. Not to say it can't go down and maybe have a little bit of a test in this. Thus, in here, establish level of support in this point, and then of course do all this bear market kind of stuff. And when we look at this on other time frames going shorter, on the 8-hour term time frame, market was bullish in here. There's a band flattening out. And within stage number, if you count this as established support where there's a break, but at some point, if it just goes down so large, you have to think, okay, yep, this is bearish. Watch out for any sick bear market rallies, which is what happened in here. But convincingly, of course, if you pretty much had to deem this into a bear market before it's going here. But this is one of those spots where it just had this spectacularly large move. However, if you count this as a support established, again, most certainly it got bearish in here. On the 3-hour term time frame, there's the failed attempt to resume the trend after that big move in here. Another failed attempt with all of this support in here, breaking down below this, has put this into the bear market. On the single-hour term time frame, when we had before this move even happened, I mean, a lot of choppiness was going on as this level of support got really big, having these failed breakout attempts, and after this, as you can see, breaking down below this was really confirming it. If anything, you could say like this, the support established was most certainly in this area. So when it broke it, a convincing move, and that is just so common the case when you have key support resistance that you break, and then something like that takes place. On the 15-minute time frame, however, it's a little bit different. As amongst this, we have a situation where it has been in a steady decline. There hasn't been any bull market runs really since the one from this low to this high in here. And after it broke below this established support, it was bearish in here. So it was that would have taken us back yesterday, almost a little over 24 hours ago. And there's our failed rally attempt that occurred today in the morning, as price action managed to get up in here to the 103 handle. And then after that, Litecoin price. I don't know if I've mentioned this as Bitcoin or not, as a noun, whatever. But with that being said, after the price got to a little over 100, 103, it didn't successfully correct within the 18, fell below it, supporting this area, then resisting, going down further, but it didn't resist this key area. That's the things I mentioned. Watch out for the possibility of the fake, or not, well, of the resisting where you're supposed to come from. And in turn, it's looking like one of those failed breakouts. What do we see after that failed breakout? Well, we see the price action had a rally up to this point, breaking this high, matching this a little area in here, but showing a lot of phenomenal strength amongst the 18 for it looks like about a dozen and a half or so periods. And still hanging in there within the 18, but still got to get above this, but giving you the potential that on the short term this may be done. But what would a failed breakdown like this accomplish if it's going to complete its pattern and have a failed breakout to the upside? And to me, the answer would be probably somewhere in the area of around this high to this low. So between 103 to 105. And then at that point, okay, well, we'll see what happens next. It's got a long ways to go, as it's got to break a lot of these downtrends. But as we go to the daily time, what does it have to do to break it? Well, it's just barely went bearish. It's barely below it. It doesn't have too far to go to get above this 18 average of highs. Only need about a 15, 16% rally at this stage. And it's now starting to fill some of this empty space. And there's a lot to fill. And it doesn't have to fill that much, but it comes. So you have this key low and this key high, and this might not even be the high for the key level, because saying it back here, okay, here we go, look at it, was filling some of this empty space in here from this high, because we had this, oh, we got to fill some of this, and it did, but it didn't fill much. And tops and bottoms known after the facts and on shorter term time frames, and picking away at small highs and lows, you can most certainly can count that. But if you're looking for the move from this key low to this key high, I need to see a sustained move below the 18 average for me to consider a key lows in place. And this is just not a sustained move. And it obviously isn't at any type of sustained move here. If it has any sort of serious decline going below this, then I think you'd have to count it. But even if it goes below this low, if it technically were to go to 56, I would go low, high, higher, low. And if it were to go to 56, start to rally up, and we're up to like 80, 90, 100. Okay, we're in tracement zone. I'd have Fibonacci from this high to whatever the low is, talk about all that type of stuff. And it's not a surprise to have, if you're making a higher low, to not only have a test of that key level and break it. Again, I'm not saying it's going to go down to that level, and I don't actually think it will. But I'm just saying that if it does, that's how that situation would play out. Okay, so then thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.